Good morning. I am Brian Downs, and this is a Republic if you can keep it. I'm coming to you from Orlando, Florida, on the day after Christmas 2025. It's about 10:25 in the morning. Let us talk about the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. Let us talk about our diplomat-in-chief, Donald Trump. Of course, Rob Reiner, who I believe was 79 years old at the time of his death, was recently killed in his bed. His wife also killed, same evening, same incident, same home, stabbed to death in their home in California. This is shocking and tragic. But of course we can depend on Donald Trump to be disgusting. Donald Trump very quickly blurted out a social media post saying that Rob Reiner had been a struggling person, well, in so much as a man famous for a number of extremely successful films who was living in a multi-million-dollar California mansion at 79 could be described as struggling. Anyway, Donald Trump says he's struggling. It's too bad that he died, but Trump strongly implies that Reiner was killed because Reiner was an outspoken critic of Donald J. Trump and his many crimes and outrages. Trump, of course, made this assessment before any suspect had been announced or was in custody. Subsequently, Reiner's son, Reiner and Michelle's son, who was living in the house at the time of the killings, has been arrested and charged. Could Donald Trump be any worse? This is the President of the United States, diplomat-in-chief, we suppose a remarkable politician. That's kind of the idea, right? That the president is someone who won the politician game, who makes the tragic murder of a beloved public figure about him, who says, oh, well, Reiner might have been killed because of his Trump derangement syndrome. Yes, Rob Reiner's murder is about you. He stops just short of saying that Reiner deserved to be murdered for his criticism of Donald Trump. Why? Why make a statement at all? What's astonishing to me about Donald Trump, and it has become more astonishing as his brain has melted and he descends in a dimension, is how bad he is at everything he does. You're the President of the United States. You don't have to make any statement about this murder. You're not the chief of police of Brentwood, California. You're literally not involved. You could have your press secretary make a statement, something along the lines of, we are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, a man who made an indelible mark on cinema and boldly spoke out in accordance with his beliefs in our First Amendment freedoms. He will be missed. Don't mention that you disagreed, or if you do, say we didn't always see eye to eye, but he was a man who did his part. No, instead, you come out and blast the recently murdered as a fool with Trump derangement syndrome, as if criticizing brazen corruption is some kind of insanity. This, of course, creates quite a controversy that Donald Trump has just stepped into as he steps into fresh controversies, fresh outrages daily. If I were the manager of a bank, and within 24 hours of Rob Reiner's murder and his wife's murder, I happened to be in the break room and saw one of my employees saying, well, Rob Reiner, yeah, I guess he got murdered, but that guy is just a kind of a crazy dickhead, wasn't he? I would take that employee aside and say, do you like working here? I'd say, are you kidding me? Yes, why don't we go ahead and do that? Why don't we make an upsetting and controversial statement about a man who's been murdered thousands of miles from here, who none of us knew personally? Do you have any idea what etiquette is, what diplomacy is? Why don't you keep your opinions to yourself for, a few weeks? But oh no, Donald Trump chooses to make an entire news cycle about him, and by the way, about how terrible Donald Trump is. Because everything is about him. If Rob Reiner disagreed with him and Rob Reiner came to a tragic and horrible and grotesque end, well, what did you expect? Did Donald Trump win any friends? Did he bring in new votes? Are there people out there saying, I'm going to vote Republican because of what Donald Trump said about Rob Reiner? No. It's ludicrous that he said anything outside of again, perhaps a boilerplate expression of sympathy. Terrible crime, terrible tragedy. The man will be missed. So you have to say, oh no. Donald Trump seizes any opportunity to publicly trumpet the fact that he is a disgusting homunculus, and to no possible political advantage for himself or his party. Because all Donald Trump can say is, I'm awesome, and everything's about me. Is this the sort of man who ought to be diplomat-in-chief for the United States of America? No. Is this the sort of man who should be entrusted with the single most powerful position of public service in America, in arguably the world? No. Does this seem like the sort of man who is interested in anything beyond his own selfishness? Again, no, and forever no. In this incident and in just about everything else Donald Trump has ever done. Just this alone proves that he is incapable of his job. Setting aside for the moment his unnumbered illegal executive orders, his brazen corruption, the way he's stuffing his own pockets with crypto scams. Is this a joke? We look forward to the day that Trump is removed from office by his richly deserved impeachment, by the 25th Amendment, which is long overdue, the amendment that allows the president to be removed from office for inability to do his job. Oh, on that day, you'll see some smiles on this channel.